right, so once we do that, we're going to want to start the session. So I'll click the green start button. And here's where you might start seeing some stuff that's new, that's different from last year. So I'm gonna need 5 or 10 minutes before you start peppering our question area with the different things that are coming to mind. So give me just 5 minutes to go over this and all the different scenarios and show you what it looks like for the administrator and the student. And then I'll take all your questions. I'll make sure that you understand this process as completely as possible. So to start with, you'll notice the sliders that we have at the top here for lock and unlock, and the padlocks are either locked or unlocked. By default, they're all locked. If you scroll down to the students area, you can see the little padlocks by all of the units for each student as well. So before I actually go into the demonstration of this, I want to talk about why this change was made in the first place. We had we had one problem from last year, and then we got some feedback that made us go down this route. The problem we had is test administrators would get their hands on the 3 seal codes for their particular session, and sometimes they would write all 3 seal codes up on the board, and the student would go from Unit 1 to Unit 2 to Unit 3 and test all units right in a row when they should have only just tested 1 unit during that testing time. So that was obviously a big issue. So that's one issue that's completely resolved by the new process here. The other feedback that we got that makes this just a better process, we think, for everyone, is that monitoring the students, especially when they missed a day, understanding what units they may have missed, using set section start to get them in the right section or in the right unit. That was really difficult and hard for administrators to do, because they'd have to scroll down, they'd have to see their students in exited status, click on the exited status, see which questions they've answered, try and figure out what unit they're in, and then do the set section start. This year, each unit is its own test and its own status. So you'll be able to see visually right away which unit a particular student is in, what status for each unit is, and when a student finishes a unit, they're not going to be in exited status. When a student successfully finishes a unit, they're going to be in blue complete status, and you won't have to worry about that unit anymore. So let's show you what that looks like on an ideal day 1 in your testing environment. The test administrator can come in, the session is started, they have their testing tickets, they hand them out, they unlock Unit 1 by clicking this padlock up here. So if I scroll down, I can see all the padlocks have disappeared from Unit 1 for my students. All right, so then I would have the students log in. So why don't we do that quick? I'll use the testing ticket here and the TestNav desktop app to actually log in. Use that username, password. And this is what a student would see when they log in. So Unit 2 and 3 are locked, but I can get into Unit 1 and start testing. Now, if my students say missed day 1 and I want them to start at Unit 2, even when they haven't completed Unit 1 because the rest of the class is taking Unit 2, that's fine. When the test administrator comes in that day, they would unlock Unit 2 for everyone. And even though that student hasn't taken Unit 1, when they log in, what they will see is this. Their Unit 1 will be locked and it'll be in start, but they won't be able to click on it, but they can go ahead and get into Unit 2. So why don't I go ahead and do that? I'll jump into Unit 2. And if you're getting ready to type a bunch of questions, I need just another minute or so, and then we'll definitely go into all those. I want to talk about how this works for like makeup testing, and how to lock and unlock at the student level. So give me just another minute here. All right, so now I'm logged in as a student in a practice test in the training site. And I've entered the test, and I'm not going to try and get these questions right. I'm just going to click a few questions. And I'm actually going to bookmark this one and click next. So while I'm in here, I am going to show everyone the new review menu. So this is a change from last year as well. Last year, if a student clicked on review, they would have gone to a whole different screen. After some usability studies, we found that a lot of students were just using review to, basically check their status. They have 20 minutes left in their unit maybe, and they want to know how many questions they might have skipped, or how many questions they have left, or how many they've bookmarked. So now they can see that pretty easily in the user interface here, just by clicking the drop down. And you can see all the questions that are not answered, anything that's bookmarked, anything that is answered, you can filter by not answered, bookmarked, or all. And then the last screen, the end of section screen, has also been updated with that same format. So it kind of all ties together. I'm sorry, the internet's a little bit slow every once in a while here. So there we go. So if I click on bookmarked on the student, I can see how many I haven't answered. I can navigate back to any one of these as well. All right, so let's go ahead and exit out of the test, and I'm going to simulate an error message here. I'm going to press Control-Alt-Delete and exit out of the test. And this message may look familiar, 3005. We're going to talk about that more in a little bit as well. But let's go back to Pearson Access Next now and look at what it looks like in there once a student has started a test, and once they've been exited out. All right, so you can see we clicked refresh here. And at the top, you can already see in the bar here how many students are in a particular status. So we have 4 in ready and 1 in exited status under Unit 2. And if we scroll down, we can see, again, Unit 2, there's no padlocks on that, and there's 1 student in exited status. So if I click on the exited status, I can still see, like last year, I can see how many questions they've answered and when, or how many they've visited, so I can get an idea of exactly what they're doing. But for the most part, you can see it just visually right on the screen, which is nice. So some of you may be asking about testing security at this point. So if this unit is unlocked and that student is in exited status or students are in complete status, can they log back in and actually get into their test because it's unlocked? The answer is no, they can't. It's the same test security as last year, which means that a student can only log into a test if they are in resumed or ready status. So this student in exited status could not log back into the test unless they are moved to resumed.